everybody, this is Expert Zone Talks. Today we will speak with Alexandra, who is front-end developer at Frontend House and Clicky, about changing profession from museum to IT. So meet
hello,
Alexandra. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Everything is okay. So hello everyone. So today I will share my story, how I changed my career to IT, and I will add a lot of practical tips and advices for you in case you want to do the same in the future.
Amazing. It's going to be amazing talk, I'm sure. So let's go. Tell about your story, about changing your career from working in museum and your cultural studies to changing to IT.
Yes, so in my case, I made very sharp career turn because many years ago I studied history of art and culture studies. So after I graduated, it was pretty natural for me to get first job in the museum. I was looking after pieces of the past, curating exhibitions, and from time to time giving lectures on art.
Wow, what kind of lectures?
What kind of lectures? About different kinds of art, different, art techniques.
Wow, that's amazing.
We had a big collection of graphic. Quite often I covered this topic. So I talked about different techniques and how these artworks were made. So it gave me a lot of satisfaction. It was really amazing. But after 4 years, I wanted to do something that would have more impact and that would be more in demand. So later I worked in sales department in a production company. And most of the time I spent working on enterprise resource planning software, and it had extremely unpleasant user interface, And it was, I think it was the first time when I thought that, maybe creating programs, might be fun.
I think,
and for sure,
that UI for your artistic soul was very painful.
Yes, it was very hard for me, because I had to work on this software for many hours a day. And then I thought, wow, when program has nice nice, enjoyable user interface, it makes so much difference. And I thought that, it's something important and it can be something interesting.
When did you realize that you want to become software engineer?
Okay, so from this, first ideas to making a decision, it took me a couple of months, because IT appealed to me in general as something very future-proof, as something that really sets you in the center of our ever-changing reality, plus working remotely sounded like a plan for me. So, I dared to think from time to time, maybe I would be able to, to create software instead of just working with it. And I remember I saw some articles stating that, that the people are able to learn how to code even without computer science degree.
And become rich in 3 months. Yeah.
Yes. So, as I said, it took me a couple of months, before I made any serious decision or commitment. And this is what I would recommend to everyone. So, try it out first. And do not get influenced by any advertisements that say, buy our course and you will become rich.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Yes. Because, it's better to try it out first, to avoid any disappointment. So at first I just tried coding and treated it as, as something new, but as a fun. There are so many resources on the internet that let you do it. So I started on a Codecademy platform, and there are a lot of courses, like, very basic ones, and they are for free. So I tried a couple of programming languages, and I remember I liked Python and JavaScript the most. So I just tried it out, and it sparked a lot of joy. And what I liked especially was this focus that I had to be really focused. At the time I was working at under time pressure, and I was doing many things at the time. When I had to focus on task or challenge, it was like fitness for my brain.
Yeah.
Very nice feeling. Plus, when I managed to complete something or grasp some new concept, it always gave me a lot of satisfaction. Later, I attended workshops. It was Python and Django, and we are creating our blog. It was very empowering to meet other people who learn, who have the same goal. And later I attended workshops that were organized by one of the companies. And it was very nice, to see the office, to see, the chill out zone, very well equipped kitchen. But, what was the most important for me and what, gave me really great motivation was the natural way that people communicated with each other and the whole atmosphere and this can-do approach, which is, I think, something characteristic to IT, and that's not something that you take for granted in other workplaces. So at this point I decided, okay, I will try. It is something that I would like to devote some time to. And finally, I decided for front-end development. Yes, and another tip, one thing that I would recommend everyone to do as soon as possible is to check the job market. What's the situation? Because trends in IT change rapidly. But you have to remember that not every hot new framework turns into job demands, right? So do not choose technology based on, some latest hype or etc. Check what technologies are required for junior or intern positions. And I think it makes sense to repeat this check every now and then, because you will be able to see how your progress and how your skills relate to actual requirements.
Alexandra, what did the process of changing your career look like?
It was very intense. My approach was rather careful, because when I decided to change career, I was already 30 years old and I had my full-time job, which I didn't want to give up, right? Because I didn't know if the whole plan is going to work. So it would be too risky for me, So I decided to work and learn at the same time. I would like to share it as advice. Be reasonable and do not make any hasty decisions. Of course, it will depend on your situation and your possibilities. But do not decide based on success stories you hear or read, because many people without computer science degree managed to start their careers in IT. Sadly, no one keeps track of how many did not, right? Because they didn't have enough motivation or time, and it happens. It happens, and you have to be really prepared for hard work that will last not weeks nor months, but much longer. And what is, I think, worst about the whole thing, what made me very anxious, was that no one can give you any guarantee, right, that at the end you will get hired. So, okay, but enough of, pessimistic things.
Come back to optimistic thing.
Yeah.
So what was it? Bootcamp, courses, or maybe university, post-degree studies or something?
Before I answer, maybe one general thought about learning how to program. It's just true that you're able to find all the needed resources on the internet and they are free. When you start, sometimes it's really hard to assess, what is quality of these materials. And also at the beginning, it really helps to have a kind of the roadmap, curriculum, so a set of skills or technologies that you have to learn. Also, at some point, it is nice to have a person that will help you, that will check your code, that will give you some tips. It can be a mentor, or it can be as well a programming community, because it's most of the time it's really awesome and it will give you all the help. In my case, I decided for a bootcamp which lasted 6 months. It was a web developer bootcamp, and even though I had no problem with keeping up with the timeline, it was too fast, really. I had no time to digest the material, to get like a good level of confidence with the topics that we covered. But overall, I had the feeling that I touched upon most of the skills that will hopefully get me hired one day. And I had a few projects, like, they were working, so it was a plus, definitely.
It was working on your machine, or maybe...
Yeah, I think on other machines. I checked, and also on mobile phones, so it was already a small success. Yes, and later I was extremely lucky. Because I got accepted to a scholarship. Google financed a number of front-end development courses organized by Udacity. They offer a lot of different online courses, but most of them are focused on technology. And I remember quality of materials in this course was really amazing, and they were prepared and presented by top experts. For example, React was covered by one of its creators. But of course, normally these courses are, costly. So I was really very lucky to get a chance, to follow this course totally for free.
I think that you're not lucky, but talented and clever. That is why.
Maybe. Maybe yes, because I had to apply, I had to answer some questions. And, in order to get full access to the course and to graduate, I also had to be active in the community. So I had to help other people. And, at first I was like, I have so little time for my own learning. And, how do I find more time, to help others? But it turned out that it's very helpful, because when you have to explain something, then your own knowledge gets more solid.
At that time, you had full-time job at the same time, right?
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
God. That's right. Crazy. I had a moment in my life when I had full-time job and full-time studies, and I thought that I would die, and you just was changing your career. My God, that's amazing.
Yes, it is very hard. I will tell a bit more, about this later on. And going back to learning. So these two courses were the core of my learning. Of course, there are many more courses, especially in JavaScript. So and I wouldn't say that the way I did it. So Bootcamp and this course was the perfect way. Different things can work for you. Yeah, and in fact, I covered similar topics twice, right? Both in the bootcamp and in the course, but for me it was a good thing, to go a bit deeper and, to discover some, more layers of the same topic. And maybe here I will give you some tips about, no matter what technology you are going to choose, use Git, start using Git as early as possible, because no matter what will be your first task at the job, you will have to be able to commit your changes, to open merge requests. Plus, using Git has a huge benefit because it lets you showcase your projects. And in fact, it was one of the things that got me hired in my first position. So it can be really crucial. So just start using it as early as possible. And there's one more non-technical thing. I would recommend everyone to read a bit about Agile, because then you will get an idea about how work is organized in most of IT companies. And for me, it was also additional motivation, because I thought, wow, it is great to work in industry that, has this kind of awareness that the way we work and our processes is something we should be constantly improving and changing. We even have tools for this, and we have even special methodology for this. So this was something that, gave me this extra motivation that this is the place where I want to be.
Cool. It sounds really optimistic and inspiring. But how did you organize this process of studying and working at this crazy tempo of your life?
Yes, so unfortunately, I don't have any secret tips,
Oh,
and
no.
my answer will be...
Again, no tips! So
No,
bad.
just hard work. Yeah, but I will share some little behind the scenes with you. So yeah, organizational wise, it wasn't very sophisticated. I simply spent all my free time on learning. So no matter if it was nice shiny afternoon or beautiful weekend, I was sitting there and trying to finish my tasks. So it was sometimes it was really like eat, sleep, code, repeat. So every day the same. It was very exhausting, but at the same time very exciting, and I think this is what kept me going. And from fun facts is that I used to spend so much time in front of the computer, right, in my job, and then learning that I had to use a lot of eye drops.
Maybe you can recommend some the best ones.
I can't remember the brands, but
no,
yeah,
we can't make advertisements for drugs.
Yes, but I remember it was one like it was like physically hard at some point to keep up. And I remember I had to give up my hobby for some time, but I didn't give up some fitness or yoga classes to stay healthy and to stay balanced at least to some extent,
mentally and physically.
Yes,
important.
Exactly. Not to ruin my health. And another thing that was very important is that I had support of my nearest and dearest. They totally accepted my choice and gave me a lot of support. So yeah, it was very nice.
It's so nice to hear such stories. Amazing. And how long does it take?
Okay, for me, without counting, this introductory months when I was just having fun with the code, it was almost a year and a half, from starting bootcamp until finding a job. So it was this bootcamp course, but then, I had to polish my projects to make sure that everything is perfect and everything works. Then the whole process of preparing for the interviews. So I had to fill in any gaps, that came up at this time. And I was doing a lot of coding challenges. So it was also some extra time that I needed.
Front-end development needs constant studying. So I'm sure that you're just diving into coding materials now too.
Yes, that's right. You have to stay up to date, especially in front-end.
What do you think is the most important in the whole process, studying, working and becoming a front-end developer?
So basically, in this whole learning process, I think it's a good idea to do even a bit, but every day, because long breaks will definitely slow you down. And it's a good thing to kind of surround yourself with all this knowledge. You can do the course, but you can also subscribe to newsletters to stay up to date, which is, like we said, very important. You can read the articles. And then, when you are too tired to sit at the desk, you can listen to podcasts, right? So try to be, surrounded all the time by this knowledge, by news and this whole topic. And when you have a chance, attend workshops, really, because it's very empowering experience. It can give you a lot of extra motivation. You will have a chance to meet developers, to ask questions. So it can be really, really important part of the whole process.
How did you find your first job?
Okay, so when I finally realized that it might be time to do this first try, I had this mix of confidence, right? Because I already had some skills, but I still had this feeling that I'm not good enough. But to be honest, this feeling is with me still, until this day. So imposter syndrome.
We all know that.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, but going back to what I did, I started to look for internship offers. And I managed to find one where I was familiar with all the technologies that were listed and that were used in this project. It also mentioned some maybe a little bit more advanced things like Redux, but fortunately I covered it as well. So it convinced me to apply. Of course, I was extremely scary, because this is the point when you confront your dreams and check if they can become a reality, right? So yeah, but at some point you have to do it. And I was another thing is that I was a bit afraid about the reaction of interviewers. That there is a person who is not a computer science graduate and she's trying, to get this internship. But I was very surprised because people that interviewed me were interested about, how this happened, and they were very nice. And at the end, really, what was most important, it was that I did well on technical interview, right? So this is what counts most and what is the most important. And it is good to gather feedback from many interviews because it might be very helpful for you to realize, what is missing, what are the things that you still have to work on a bit. But in my case, I didn't have this chance because my first interview was successful. Okay, so let me share some tips about getting your first job. Some of them might be obvious, but yeah, let's cover some of them. So when you have no experience, what you do is that you list your projects and add the links to your CV, add links to your repositories. This way you can showcase your skills. Another thing is interview questions. So on the internet you will find a lot of them, and it's really worth to go through these lists because this question, they do happen on the interviews, so you can be prepared. Plus, if you find something that you are not sure about or you don't know how to answer, probably it's a thing that you should revise or you should brush upon a bit. Also, it is very useful to do some coding challenges before interviews. Sometimes they are very specific, and it's also it's better to be prepared. Another thing, not technical this time, is to be nice and to be natural, because people who are interviewing you, of course, they are choosing a skilled professional, but they're also choosing a colleague, someone they will be working on every day. So Another thing is, it's really nice when candidates show that they're interested, right? So when they ask questions, when they know something about the company. Yeah, because I took part in some interviews, and when this interest is lacking, then it's a shame.
Alexandra, thank you so much for your inspiring story and your positivity and attitude for that. I'm really feeling very good right now. Thank you so much for your answers and see you next time. See you next time too. You can watch other videos on our channel, and bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. The end.